to the Broker Show with Joe, the new show by brokers for brokers. And today, honestly, what better way to start than with two brokers you've probably seen all over the news, Joseph and Julian. Welcome, guys.
Thanks for having me.
Julian, thank you so much for coming down to our office. There was no better way to start this show and this new series on Broker Daily than with yourself. I think with everything that's happened over the last couple months and the amount of noise that we've tried to make to have the concerns of both small business owners, property investors, mortgage brokers heard, it's fallen on deaf ears. So I think having this show, having this podcast, having you on as a first guest, it's both an honor and we're very gratuitous for it. So thank you so much for coming on, mate.
The honor is all mine. Thank you for having me.
All right. We need to present the elephant in the room before we go into anything else. So
the federal budget, what else would we talk about?
because that's why everyone's going to tune into this show.
Yeah.
And the budget came out on my birthday, May 12th. I know. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, this is so generous. He's just completely, or that party has completely destroyed one of our revenue streams. What was your take on the budget when it first initially came out?
Yeah, well, as you're aware, like we don't do residential lending. So my immediate thoughts, because leading up to the budget, there was a lot of like leaks in the media talking about how CGT, negative gearing, like gone. And I guess most of my assumptions were that it's going to apply to residential property. And so most people were kind of bracing for impact on those changes applying to residential property. I think some people thought there's no way they're stupid enough to do that because they said 50 times plus, but they did. And then I was watching the budget. I still remember I was at my mother-in-law's place and just watching it, and I'm like, just watching it all unfold and watching the breakdown of it. And then there was like this sobering moment where you realize that it wasn't just property, it was all asset classes. And then I just was so deflated. Like I've been building a business for the last 5.5 years that is geared on growth and enterprise value. And I haven't taken $1 out, not one dividend. And I pay myself below market wage. So it was a very deflating moment to understand that they were applying this to businesses. And then listening to some of the interviews of him saying, yeah, we wanted to divert investment into other more productive asset classes. And it's like, what's more productive than businesses that employ people? And then, the rest is history. I woke up the next morning, I went to the gym the next morning, and I was thinking about it, basically all night, like, this is insane. That surely there's like oh, no, we're going to clarify and this doesn't apply. And it didn't seem like there was going to be any backpedaling on it. And so I messaged Nick. I should probably post the screenshots, but Nick's our head of content. And I said, hey, I've got this idea. Let's introduce Albo as our new co-founder. And so that's kind of how that whole thing was born. I initially said, we'll put Albo and Chalmers as our co-founders. And then, he rightly pointed out and created a draft that was just Albo. And I think the average person, maybe they do now because of how much media has been behind this budget, but the average person doesn't know who Jim Chalmers is.
They didn't know who Jim Chalmers was.
Chalmers was. Yeah, maybe we've made him a little bit famous in that regard, but yeah. So they do know who Albanese is. Yeah. I think it hits harder when you just pick one co-founder. Like it just hit harder. So he sends me a draft. I was like, sweet, lock it in. And we happened to be going that day to the Kinzo office. And that was where, because I'm one of the Kinzo, early adopters, and they were rolling out the mobile app. So we had a chat with them about the budget, and I was like, yeah, look, there's, if you own the shares in a company, like there's probably a few ways around some of this stuff, but like it's still very early. But it was still very deflating. Like this is insane, and changes to trusts and bucket companies, like. And then I said, oh, here's what we're going to do. Like, we're going to do this Albo co-founder 47% thing. And they're like, oh, can we do it? I was like, yeah, the more the merrier. Like, this isn't my grievance alone. It's anyone who's in founder, startup, small business owner, people, family, mum and dad cafe owners. Like, it's everyone's grievance. Yeah. And they've obviously got a massive platform. And so that kind of added to the viral nature. Like they've got millions of eyeballs every month on their social media accounts. We post it on Insta. They post it on LinkedIn and Insta. I put it on LinkedIn as well. Just like, and then before you know it, it's gone into
basically.
Yeah, it has, and then we're getting contacted by, and then Tim Wilson tagged me. Yeah, the Shadow Treasure. Tim Wilson, Shadow Treasure, tags me, reposts my LinkedIn posts, and then collabs me on an Instagram reel. And I was like, just like blown away that it went this far. And I was like, am I allowed to swear?
Yeah.
I was like,
We've got that in the contract.
Yeah, fuck it, let's ride. Like he clapped me on the post, and I was like, fuck it, accept. So let's see what happens. Yeah. But that was like the I still remember like that sobering feeling where I was like, oh, this is going to be, and I knew that this was going to affect. We work with over 3,000 brokers directly as partners now. And some of our biggest partners.
It's Simple being one of them.
Yeah. I knew that this was going to be catastrophic, like really bad for our industry, brokers, not necessarily asset finance, but definitely residential brokers. Yeah. And, it was heartbreaking. I had a lot of messages from resi brokers on my Instagram and LinkedIn just going like, surely not, surely not. Surely this is just a bad dream kind of thing. And that's kind of how it felt. It felt like we were in a bad dream for a couple of weeks. And, next thing we got a press conference at the office and roundtables and Sky News, and it was
a circus.
It really was, and it has been. It's been a little bit of a blur.
I wasn't in the office for like 6 weeks.
No,
like after Tim. So what happened? And I just want to let everyone know the story. Julian and I have been friends for 7 years.
Yeah, roughly.
Roughly around 7 years. Started the businesses roughly around the same time as each other as well. Julian messages me because he knew I was upset, but I was upset from the other side. You were sitting there highlighting the issues of capital gains tax for small businesses. I was looking at it as if they've just closed the property window for all mum and dad investors. And Jack Henderson, who you and I both follow, pointed it out. He was the first one to say, hey, this isn't going to affect the wealthy. This is going to affect the people that are trying to get ahead now. So that's where I was most upset, because I was looking at the different companies that are benefiting from this, because there are quite a few out there, especially, institutional funders. They now have less competition in the market because the residential mum and dad aren't able to purchase. So I was coming from that angle, and Julian messaged me and he goes, hey, Shadow Treasurer Tim Wilson's coming to my office for a small business roundtable. Would love to have you there. I was like, okay, looks like I'm coming in. And what happened was at the end of that meeting, and there was some pretty significant people in there.
Yeah. And so like just so other people know, like there was some really like, important people. Not that anyone else is less important, but there was some big hitters in there from our industry. So obviously Sebastian Watkins from Lendy Group representing, Tom Hawley, Azura. Like we're talking about a bunch of the top 5 brokerage firms in the country representing, and I wanted to make sure that we had representation from the industry, yourself included. That you'd been speaking about some of the concerns with the government for long before the budget was an issue, right?
That is true.
So I knew that this was right up your alley, and obviously you're very well researched in the all the managed investment scheme stuff and all the funds, like how this the build to rent stuff. Like there's a lot of stuff that you're very well researched in, and it's not necessarily where most people are connecting dots. And so I was like, yeah, you need to be there. But there was also people from outside the industry as well. Members of the startup community, like Jeremy Cabral, co-founder of Finder, Frank Grief, he's obviously had a successful...
Rachel Wild.
We had Mona Chia. So people from legal fields, people from e-commerce, people from startup. We had Kelly Eldridge. She wasn't in a sort of representing quickly in that capacity, but she was there. She knows our industry very well. She was more in a chief of staff and how the ESOP changes are going to hurt, trying to hire talented engineers and things like that. So but we had some good people in the room that we put together on basically 24 hours notice. We got a great room together.
Man, I wish you had an office in Melbourne. So Tim turns and he goes, "Oh, I want to do another one of these in Melbourne."
Oh yeah, he says it to you. We're Sydney based, by the way.
Well, we launched It's Medical, and we've got It's Simple Melbourne now. So I'm sitting there. The launch is the week after, literally 7 days after.
Yeah.
I'm like, "Hey, we've just set up an office in Melbourne. Do you need help?" He's like, "Sure, we're doing it at your office." That was it. I was like, "Okay." So we had 36 hours to put together another small business roundtable in Melbourne. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, okay, so previously at Julian's, we had representatives from the startup industry, tech, finance. I thought to myself, we need representatives from every industry that are affected. So
just like the broad business spectrum, right?
Yeah, because what happened is there was like a shift in narrative where after these memes went viral, they were like, "Oh, it's just rich tech bros," and that's one of the reasons why
people said that.
One of the reasons why Frank bowed out, because he's like, "Well, maybe I shouldn't be talking because like I have had a successful exit, you know," and he got flack for that. So he's like, "Fuck it, I'm just going to focus on my business." But you know, my lens is like, mate, I haven't made it yet. I haven't made, like, I'm not rich by any stretch of the I live in Western Sydney. I've grown up here. I grew up in poverty. I'm building a business that I've invested and reinvested and refinanced my home multiple times and sold all my crypto to fund this business and employ 40 people. Like, what part of that is rich to you? Like, I'm like 3 to 6 bad months from catastrophic ending of my business. Like, there's nothing rich about that. But, you know, I'm very fortunate in a lot of ways. That's presenting the darker lens. But that was like why I, you know, thought I actually, you know, maybe I am one of the right people who should carry this torch, because what can, like, there's no armor over me. Like there's no like, you're a rich tech bro. I'm not a rich tech bro. Oh, you're a property investor. Mate, I have an owner occupier I bought 10 years ago. That's the only property I own. Yeah. It's the home over my wife and kids' head.
Yeah, that's the place you live. Yeah.
So I felt like, you know, I was well positioned to carry the flag, and business owners had messaged me from every industry, but it was the right call to get people from all industries, because at that point the narrative was shifting. It's just rich tech bros complaining.
So we got one of the accounting Zero Partners of the Year in there. Yeah. We got a solicitor conveyancer who's he's grown one of the largest conveyancing firms in Australia, Rex Afrajabi, Jason Robertson. We got a business valuer. Okay. I didn't know people owned a business that specifically focused on business valuations and assisting people with exits.
If there's a niche, it exists, right?
I had never, well, I'm not in the position to have to go reach out to individuals to contact. I thought just an accountant does that. No, this is a significant business valuer. He came. Oh no, I'm pretty sure you introduced me to him, Peter.
Yeah.
So he came to the Small Business Roundtable. Yeah. Then we had a regional broker, somebody from the country, from Mildura, come down. So
that'd be interesting.
Every single time we had these small business roundtables, we wanted to discuss why, because we wanted the voices of Australians to be heard.
It must have felt invigorating though, and like refreshing to get so much support in so little time as well, like to get everyone together.
I think everybody knew the urgency of the matter. Like, we knew if we didn't get significant, and you know, normally media cycles are like 3 days and that's it. You got 3 days. If you haven't got your point across, everyone's forgotten. It's, you know, now the focus is on Trump said something, this person said something, that person said. So the media cycles are crazy. I have never in a very long time, because media cycles used to be longer, you know, they used to be much longer. But in the modern times where you've got social media and everything is so fast and everything, the news cycle is 24 hours sometimes, let alone not even, you know, sometimes even shorter than that. But this is weeks, and he's still getting grilled, and so are the rest of the party as well.
They're still getting interviewed on the billboards I put up in Canberra. So
that's so funny.
The reason I was laughing just then, as you were saying about the media cycle, is I was told behind closed doors that the media was ready to drop this. Like, they were ready, okay, yeah, the budget's passed and stuff. And then they got hit with the billboards in Canberra. Now, if you don't know what, you know, I have to say I don't like saying I, because it was a we thing. But what we ended up doing was creating a petition, calling it Stop the Ambition Tax, where we would blast Canberra with billboards But in Canberra Airport, we would share the individual stories of the people that were affected by the budget as well. And they would upload a photo, they would share just a small blurb. I could have set up in London, I could have set up in Dubai. I decided to come home to Australia because Australia is my home and I want to watch Australia grow. And we put those billboards all up in Canberra Airport. And I was told, and the reason I'll bring that story up, the media cycle was ready to end it. And then when that happened, they were like, oh, this is more. We're going to keep going with this.
Yeah, there's more juicier.
Yeah. Speaking of keeping going, how do you guys feel now that you, because you sort of, you achieved some of your ends, right? You got some concessions for small businesses, right? About how this one, how do you feel?
Okay. I'm going to stop right there because when they came out with that press conference, there were small business concessions for up to 10 mil revenue. And then there was the R&D one that was up to 50 million. Was that correct in revenue?
No. So they have these other concessions for like startups and tech, high growth ventures, basically. And I mean, it's not good enough. They're still in consultation. Number one, that part. But two, there is some limitations on like when shares were issued to investors. They have to means test other people. Like it's very convoluted. And the 10 mil turnover thing, look, it's a step in the right direction. This is how I feel. It's a step in the right direction. The mum and dad who own, like with the Angus Taylor roundtable, we had the cleaning business lady. She had two businesses, right? One,
Samantha Campbell.
Yep. Yeah. Two businesses. One of them's turning over roughly $1 million. The other one's turning over 1.2. She doesn't qualify for 2 mil. She's a residential cleaning business. If you've got residential cleaning business, and there was another cafe owner that I was talking to. He has 2 cafes. One of them turns over this, one of them turns over that. He didn't qualify. He's like, I don't qualify for this. So you've got mum and dad cafe owners that aren't qualifying for these concessions, and it was very misleading because all of the Labor politicians on TV were saying, oh, well, 93% of businesses have a turnover less than 2 million. But the turnover isn't the only hurdle. Right. So what they didn't say is your wife's assets also or your significant other's assets also get included. They also didn't talk about the fact that if you had investors or angels, they needed to be means tested as well. If you had business partners that own other entities, and let's say those other entities were turning over more than that, but even though their involvement is very little in this business, you didn't qualify. So they aggregate your turnover of all of your connected or affiliated entities. And so that number's not 93%.
No.
Now, 10 mil definitely catches a lot more businesses. And so, if you want to call that a win, we'll call that a win. It's a step in the right direction, but there's still fundamentally, we have the most complex CGT laws or rules of any country, anywhere in the world.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of vagueness around so it's not like basically how it's set up now is like you have to build and you have to invest in your business. And we'll decide at the point when you dispose of the shares, so when you sell, when you have your liquidity event, whether you fit the criteria or not.
So you're essentially rolling the dice on how the
you're rolling the dice.
Feels.
You're rolling the dice, and that doesn't work. That's not how business and how investment works. That's not how capital works.
Yeah, people
want certainty, and in business, you already have so much risk and so little certainty. Adding this into the fray is. It's really bad. Yeah, it's really bad. And look, I'm talking to a lot of VCs at the moment because we're entertaining doing a capital raise for our own business. This has thrown a spanner in the works. Like businesses, what they've essentially done by changing the capital gains tax on a sale of a business is have all business. This is something no one's really talking about. So I'm going to say it here. They're changing the dynamic of a business to focus on not growth and enterprise value, but to focus on profits. Now, just an 8-year-old using their brain can figure out that if you get businesses to optimize for profits, you're going to have less employment. In an AI revolution that we are currently going through, what is happening now, and you've got big companies already making thousands and thousands of people redundant.
Yes.
Don't we want more employment? Like, to me, if you're optimizing, if let's say tomorrow, the incentive structure for me, I'm not going to change the way I run my business for now. Because I do think there's more that we're going to get them to roll back.
Yeah.
But let's say they don't roll it back. And so I now have to get my business valued before July next year. So we've got basically exactly a year to get my business value. I want to try and get the highest possible value because everything before that is going to be on the old CGT rules. Everything from July 1st onwards next year is going to be the indexation, minimum 30% plus indexation.
Yeah.
Now, if you've got a high growth business, indexing against inflation is crazy. Like you're gonna hit the highest tier no matter what, because a high growth business is not going to be growing at, like property does, at 5 to 7%. It's going to be growing at maybe 100% compound annual growth. If you told me tomorrow the rules aren't changing and you now need to re-optimize your business, there's a sad reality that if I was to optimize my business for profit,
make people redundant.
some people are going to get, and so let me be clear and say this, just because, some of my team might listen to this. I'm never going to make people redundant. That's not how I operate, but maybe I'll hire at a slower rate.
Oh, I understand.
Right? So instead of hiring for growth and pushing into growth, maybe I change the way my business model works. And now instead of hiring every time we hit certain threshold, I'm going to be optimizing for profit. So therefore, I'm going to hire half as many people.
So
okay, that makes sense.
The question I have for you now is, you've said for your particular business, how you're planning to pivot and grow. What would you say to a broker listening to this show in optimizing their revenue, optimizing their hires, and how to utilize AI to grow their business, but to also make sure they maintain efficiency throughout the process?
Yeah, so I'll break that up into a couple of different answers, because let's say you have, let's talk about what resi brokers should do specifically. If I was a resi broker right now, and obviously I'm not, but if I was a resi broker, I would be looking for other ways to grow revenue, other things. Like the most obvious one that I'm very, an advocate for is diversifying into asset finance. Now, you don't need to be an asset finance expert. In fact, I would encourage you to just partner with the right person, because you're going to get better outcomes if you keep focusing on your core business. Don't let that drop. Focus on retention of your existing residential book. Switch to owner-occupier and switch to refinance instead of focusing on investors. So if you're primarily focusing on investors, I would suggest that you, switch and pivot to owner-occ opportunity. There's still opportunity in owner-occ. There's also opportunity in refinances and really making sure that your book doesn't churn and keeping people up to date. But asset finance is a great opportunity. Commercial, SMSF, and commercial more broadly. Now, once again, because I'm a believer in that you should be a specialist, and that I'm always on that school of thought. I'm not someone who advocates for brokers to go and be an expert or try and be an expert in resi, try and be an expert in commercial, try and be an expert in asset finance. You can't do that. Jack of all trades, master of none.
Trust me, when Julian says that, as someone that has previously done that before, you will burn yourself out. Trust me when I say that. Trust me when I say that.
It's either you burn yourself out trying to do it properly, or you end up with poor outcomes because you're Jack of all trades, master of none.
Correct.
So find and partner with a specialist commercial property broker, someone who knows commercial property very well. Find and partner with someone who's an expert in asset finance and do that very well. But look for those opportunities to capitalize. You also need to look and use these times where volumes aren't as high to look at ways to optimize your business for efficiency. AI and tech is one of them. There are some bottlenecks, like for sure. And I know I talk to a lot of people and they're like not necessarily thrilled with their aggregator system or whatever, but they should be putting pressure on their aggregators to open up APIs and allow them to connect to other tools and do other things.
Yeah, but we have so much client sensitive data that we have to be super careful with that stuff as well.
You need to vet the platforms. And the role of aggregators is to vet platforms. Like there was obviously a major data breach of a fintech company in our industry earlier this year. And there was like almost 500,000 records or something, like some big number. But yeah, I think like you do need to be super careful when you are vetting platforms. But we have standards and certifications like ISO 27001, SOC 2 compliance. We are dealing with sensitive data, but like for example, people use Quickly, they trust Quickly. Quickly does have high data standards and very, very good stuff. So there are other platforms like Quickly that aggregators can connect to. So it's not always a data thing. It's sometimes a gatekeeping thing. And the only way brokers can move forward and stay competitive in an ever-changing landscape is to make sure that they're equipped with the correct API access, because otherwise they're just throwing headcount at double entering data, and that's not the most productive way to do things,
Yeah, trust me. speaking to the person, the king of double handling and having to re-enter things multiple times over.
We're still trying to iron out those kinks.
Man, it's difficult.
It really is.
It's difficult because we're competing with banks. Okay, so
huge resources on their end.
They're billion-dollar companies. Some of them probably worth trillions, just not reported correctly or something along the lines of that. But what's the loan market in Australia in residential housing? It's over $11 trillion, something outstanding. It's something crazy.
Yeah.
So, and we've got the largest banks in Australia that are able to reinvest and able to compete with the broker market to create a better customer experience. If I'm a teacher, okay, I get the same regular pay weekly, fortnightly, monthly, however often I get paid. And a broker approaches me and it will take them up to 10 business days to get me an approval, or I can log on to one of the big four networks, upload my pay slips, they look through my transactions to verify my income, and I can be approved in 20 minutes. It's chalk and cheese.
I've also had, anecdotally, I've spoken to people who are distrustful of brokers because they have a trust with the banks just because they're like Commonwealth Bank. If they got that saver scheme when they were kids, so they've been using it forever.
Yeah.
They have that trust. They have no problem handing over their financial data over towards them and all that sort of stuff. To a broker, for some people, it's a hurdle to get over, to hand over that stuff.
But I also understand that issue. To get a certificate for and a diploma now and enter our industry is not a difficult thing. Not with all these online courses and the ability to use ChatGPT or any other AI service to download and submit your assignments. So I understand the worry because somebody could have been working at Woolworths for 20 years. They decide, I want to sign up for my Cert 4. I see all this money that brokers are making. I'm going to jump onto that. They don't know the first thing about data security.
Yeah.
They don't know the first thing about, hey, I'm handling somebody's tax file number, the most sensitive thing in Australia. I've got to store this in the correct location. They don't know the first thing about passports, okay, and how sensitive that data is. People need to understand the security risk of being a broker, but they also need to understand that when you scale up as a broker, you need to implement that security. However, and I'm going to go back to my original point, you have to do all that and compete with the lenders. And that's why I agree with you. You need a niche down. Where did we start experiencing our greatest growth? When we started to focus on small business owners. I'm proud to say that 65% of the loans that we wrote last year were for individuals that were either sole traders, company owners, their own partnerships. These were individuals that, not yet, but AI can't read their financials and decipher between all the add backs and understand which lenders are most appropriate.
The situation is too complicated.
But this is the thing, AI will catch up. It will catch up. I've seen Claude do some stuff in the last couple of weeks that I'm like, oh man, that's scary. I got to build a complete wireframe, usable, accessible, everything within 10 minutes.
Dead set. I thought you said I got it to build me a wife. Yeah, you heard that too.
What's wrong with Alison?
I was thinking.
The client's comment.
She's
She can't compete with Josephine, eh?
That was fun.
Go on my interview for that one. But people need to niche down and they need to be able to pivot. I agree with you wholeheartedly. Like, we have to pivot now. We have been primarily residential brokers for last few years. We started to pivot last year and start focusing a lot more on commercial. Now, when I say commercial, different to Julian's commercial, Julian's business,
commercial
asset lending.
Yeah.
Ours is commercial property, commercial development, commercial, still do business, but mainly with big four. We don't really deal with the prospers and stuff. Not yet. We get Julian to handle that, to be honest, like Tommy Newen, shout out to Tommy Newen. But that's what we've been doing over the last couple of years. But now we recently received the market share. 81% of all home loans are written by mortgage brokers. I expect that to dip. Genuinely.
Yeah, well, there was actually a dip in the December quarter. So not many people caught this, but it went down. It was only very slightly. It was down from 77.1 to like 76.9 or something. It was a slight dip. But then the new quarter that came out went to 81%. So it was like a massive, tiny little dip, then massive thing. It was the way they reported on it when it did dip was like, oh, it's still up year on year for the December quarter. You know, it's like, they're trying to frame it positively, but the 81% was a big jump, like 4% on a sample size like that. Like it's big.
Yeah.
So,
Do you have any theories as to why that might be?
look, it could be timing of the year.
There's a lot of annual leave that happens over Christmas. You have a lot of brokers that are still
disappear.
operating.
Yeah.
Oh,
But there's a lot of brokers that disappear over that period as well. So maybe that's why they're like, oh, my broker's not answering. I'll just go direct to the bank. Like I don't know, but for that December quarter, that does cover some of that Christmas period. So I mean, I don't know. I couldn't tell you exactly. I do think that it's been trending up. And I think if you draw the trend line, it's still trending up, especially with the 81%. But the first time it dipped, and just the way I saw the industry frame it, of like, oh, it's still up year on year, like, and they didn't really report that it was the first dip in a very long time, had me worried that like these you spoke about the product where you can just go on online banking and start applying, and they've got all your details already, kind of thing, and the unloans of the world, and it did get me worried that we're going to start to see that dip, and I do think the dip will come at some point. Obviously, after these budget changes, I've sort of changed my opinion on that, because now they're to decipher all of this complex, convoluted info, they're going to need a trusted advisor. They can't go to just the bank. And so I'm going to say that we might see more jumps like that, where, because people are like, what's a good investment class now? Let me talk to a broker. And then they're going to talk to a broker, and maybe commercial SMSF, or maybe it's just commercial property more broadly.
Hey guys, quick interruption to say thank you to both Julian from Loan Options and our sponsor, Home Loan University, the premier destination to upskill any mortgage broker.
We're looking at changing our office now, because we sort of run out of space, and our lease, we've been there for almost 5 years. We took a 5-year lease, and I was like, I wonder if I could do, just off the back of this media storm, I'm like, I wonder if commercial SMSF could work for me, because then I can owner occupy the place, and at least that way I'm paying rent to myself, not So I think you might start seeing different asset classes go on a bit of a run.
People are always looking to invest and get ahead.
Yeah,
truthfully,
that's right.
People are always trying to set up for retirement. There's a lot of lower end commercial property that isn't going to stay lower end for much longer. There's a lot of properties out there that, you can get sheds, or you can get these commercial units, regional, possibly rural, but like in other locations that go for about $400,000, $500,000 that are covered by the lease. I don't think that's going to last much longer, because you're going to see a strong pivot of individuals who have had residential property taken away from their self-managed super fund by limiting LRBAs. Did I say that right? LBRAs, LRBAs, one of them. By limiting that, they're going to go into the commercial market, and it's
we'll see. I think we'll also see like syndication as well. So you get someone who's got a couple $100,000 in their super. They got 5 mates. They got a couple $100,000 in super. They set up the unit, correct their unit trust structure, like whatever needs to be done. I'm not the expert, but it doesn't necessarily need to take an expert to like figure out that there are still ways that you can buy residential property in your SMSF. Yeah,
correct. However, and I'm going to go back to this point, and you mentioned it at one of our roundtables. Only the individuals who can pay for that kind of advice will be able to get it. They've removed that from the mums and dads, and we're brokers. We can't give advice. We can give recommendations. We can give credit insights, and we could say, hey, this product is best for you. But we need to be able to partner with the financial advisors or the accountants so they can recommend the products as well. So, you were talking about the pivot on your end. I would like to talk just briefly on the pivot on mine. We're looking for more partners, financial advisors and accountants, but the ones that they don't look for volume, they look for quality. They want to build their clients up. You see some of these accountants, and they'll take on everyone just to be able to, increase their annuities. We want the individuals that are focused on building small business, because I think over the next 2 years, there's going to be more insolvencies when it comes to small business. Unfortunately, no matter how much you and I kick and scream, and I'm doing my best, guys. Okay, but no matter what we can do, and I also think that the individuals that already partner with those advisors or those accountants, they're going to benefit the most out of these outcomes. My biggest worry now, moving forward, is, and you both know this, and I'm very well documented going against the changes to the 5% deposit scheme. there are so many people in negative equity now. Like we had same time frame last year, 7 weeks last year, 24,300 properties sold in New South Wales. This time this year, like 11,900. That's 51% less properties sold in New South Wales. There's multiple things. First of all, what's the New South Wales state government going to do about their stamp duty revenue? They're not going to be in a deficit. So is New South Wales state revenue going to come after us harder as well?
Yeah.
On land tax, on other taxes?
Victoria's debt too.
It's crazy. It's crazy. So you really, like my advice for the brokers that are listening to this episode, focus on your partnerships. You've done it so well. It's built your business.
Literally, yeah.
Yeah. Focus on your partnerships. Focus on creating your network. Focus on the smaller groups out there, whether it be BNI, whether it be Cub, whether it be, what's the other one? I'm forgetting one of them. But there's so many of these small business networking sessions that you can attend and become the expert in your field. We, as I said to you previously, we really put a focus on small business. It allowed us to thrive. I don't know what the future holds for us because I now know that every broker is going to be looking at small business owners. Yourself, you focused on partnerships, building it out, specifically focusing on asset and business lending.
Yeah.
And that's what's helped you grow your business. You've got 40 employees now.
And we did it. We tried to have a point of difference as well, right? So every mortgage broker is getting knocked on the door by an asset broker saying, "Oh, refer us your asset." There's plenty of people. Some have aggregator endorsed. Some are offering better solutions off panel. There's different things going on, but we have a point of difference, which is we have this embedded technology that we give to mortgage brokers for free. They use that. We install it on their website for free. There's no setup costs, ongoing costs or anything. So we have that technology. And then we also provide a great service. So it's not just tech and it's not just people. It's a combination of both where it sits like perfectly. And I think if you look at it, like the one things I know, I've been in the broking industry for 15 years. I looked at all the pain points and all the things that were being done wrong by asset brokers servicing mortgage brokers. And one of the things is like a lot of the deals were just going into some queue and, someone's going to pick it up, but the mortgage broker didn't have certainty on who was going to pick it up. So we led the charge of giving each mortgage broker, we're the first to do it this way. We give each mortgage broker a dedicated asset finance team member from it. Like in your case, you mentioned Tommy before, right? Yeah. So Tommy's your guy. You don't call me, you don't call some landline number and wait on hold to talk to somebody. You call Tommy, you got his mobile number directly, you call him 7 days a week. And
literally on a Saturday afternoon, Tommy will pick up.
yeah, that's right. And our whole team's like that. And I'm the same. If you can't get Tommy, you have my number and I will pick up the phone. And it doesn't matter if it's 10 o'clock at night or whatever it is. But that service offering is important. You have to have a good quality service and you also have to have a point of difference. And I think if you get those two things right and you're adding value to the partner, then what happens over time is you start to build a bit of a reputation where partners refer other partners. And that has been the case for us. Like we've had some partners within certain aggregators that are really pissed off with the embedded solution that the aggregator offers. And then they try us and then they refer 5 or 10 other mortgage brokers that are experiencing the same pain points that they were because we just solve those problems for them. So yeah, it's partnerships are a really good way. They're obviously harder to scale than like just turning on Meta spend or Google spend.
Yeah, that's been killed as well.
Yeah, but I think you really can't build your entire business model on hoping the algorithm doesn't change. So I think it's good. Like we have Meta spend, we have Google spend, but I'm never going to allow that. In the early days, we used to rely on it a lot. I'm never going to allow that to be the case anymore because they change an algorithm or they change something or the landscape gets more competitive. All of a sudden your cost per acquisition doesn't make sense anymore.
Yep.
So
I love that you said cost per acquisition, not cost per lead. That made me so happy.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of people don't measure that or don't even understand that properly. It's like, oh yeah, I'm paying $30 a lead. That's easy. I can make that work. But you got to look at your conversion rate. You got to look at a whole bunch of things and then lifetime value of the customer.
And Meta's honestly been shocking for it. They changed it recently and it's just been a nightmare.
They changed it over and over again. And this is why I always say to brokers, it's not one thing, it's all the things.
All the things, yeah.
You can't just focus on one stream. If one isn't working, you got to diversify. Like, for example, if you just focus on networking, okay? if that is what your primary thing is, which was my thing for the last couple of years, what happens is, what if I get injured? I can't go out and have coffee with people. Okay, and I get injured frequently. How many times have I torn the ligaments in my ankle? Julian saw me get knocked out by a door. And I'm looking at it. It was a malfunctioning door that knocked me out.
I forgot about that.
Like,
the amount of times I've seen Joe limp from the elevator into this office.
The one good thing that came out of that is Ali did a beautiful speech.
Oh, yeah, that's true.
That was a beautiful speech.
Yeah, so for people that don't know,
for people, there's a lot of thoughts.
So I think we've just revealed some information. So for people that do not know, there was a door that was not working correctly, and it just flung and smacked me in the head. Julian saw me about 30 seconds later, and he goes, "Are you all right?" And I go, "That door just knocked me out." And he just looks at it pivoting, and he goes, "Wait, really?" And I go, "Bro, look at my glasses." And the arm of my glasses was like that, and I was like, "Oh wow, yeah, that was a proper hit there."
Yeah.
But yeah, she did speak very well, thankfully, whilst I was getting taken care of. But back to what we were discussing.
Yeah.
Outside of that, if
you get injured and stuff,
if I can't network, then how is the business going to continue? Yeah. You need to have the videos, which Nick helps you with a lot, and it's grown quite a bit. You need to have the lead generation as well. You need to have your email sequencing. You need to make sure that you're constantly keeping your clients and your referral partners updated. And you also need to constantly go out there, because if you're not growing and you're staying stagnant, or you're not focusing on those things, what ends up happening? You end up getting eaten by the market.
Yeah, well, it's like how the value of the dollar has deteriorated over time because of inflation, right? If you are not growing, you are slowly dying. That's I didn't invent that, but that is a saying that I truly believe in. So you have to grow your business, because if you don't, and you're comfortable with where it's at, over time, you're actually losing market share, because the market does grow with or without you. The markets grow, population grows, opportunity grows, everything else is growing around you. If you're not growing at least that pace, you're actually deteriorating, and eventually it won't happen all at once, but eventually over time you won't have any more customers or enough customers to keep the lights on. So you do need to consistently focus on trying to grow, looking for other opportunities. Like I said, stay and be a specialist. You can still diversify your business without trying to be the best asset finance broker and the best commercial and the best resi and all at once. Find a good team, put together a really good team. And I've heard this expression before, but like, have the great accountants, have the great conveyancers in your corner, have your team of people that you work with a lot and you refer and you help each other. And I think that's a recipe for being prosperous.
And that's a very agnostic. That's for every business. Julian, where can people find you?
LinkedIn.
I'm pretty sure you've all already seen that.
Yeah. LinkedIn, obviously. I've got quite a bit of followers there. But I would also love if people jump on and follow me on Instagram. I'm trying to grow that. The thing about Instagram that I like is that so on LinkedIn, you can post once a day. You can't really post more than that. And each post, you got to like curate it and write it out, and like it's got to be polished enough for that platform to do well. Instagram, I leverage stories. I used to love when LinkedIn had stories. I thought that was really good, because like you can share different things. You can give it an ad hoc take on something. But like, if you only get one post a day on LinkedIn, that like otherwise the algorithm kind of starts to tank. You constantly feel like you're having to curate stuff, and I don't like that. I like to give raw, unfiltered, and sometimes my LinkedIn takes are raw and unfiltered. Don't get me wrong, but so I think it's good to have both platforms, because I can give you a different insight into what's going on in my world on Instagram. Oftentimes things go on Instagram first, and it's almost like a testing ground. And if it goes well or whatever, then I'll like adapt that piece of content for LinkedIn. So if you're trying to stay up to date with what's going on in real time, Insta is definitely the place to follow me on, for sure.
And then if people want to partner with Loan Options?
Yeah, you can go to LoanOptions.ai. There's a button at the top that says partner. Obviously, we have the main B2C facing webpage first, but if you click partner, you can schedule a demo, you can learn more, you can sign up on the spot as well. So if you know enough about us and you've been putting it off for too long, I suggest that you jump on there and just do that. Triana or one of our amazing team members will be in touch with you, give you all the information you need, and you won't regret it. We paid, just so you know, we paid a mortgage broker. I won't say who, but we paid a mortgage broker $16K in referral fees in June. Just one, and not someone who's at like the top of all the leaderboards or anything like that. This is a single mortgage broker. If you know how to spot opportunities and you work with a great team, 16 grand in referral fees. I mean, that's at least 2 or 3 mortgages.
On the residential side,
on the resi side, yeah, maybe not on the commercial, but I think that's and no one can say that's not worthwhile. $16,000 a month in referral fees for ticking and flicking deals. I think that's amazing.
Yeah, it definitely is. And if you guys enjoyed this episode, hit the thumbs up button. You can also hit the subscribe button as well. As always, guys, my name is Joe. Thank you for listening to the first episode of The Broker Show with Joe. We are on Broker Daily, but you can also find me on Instagram. It's Joey Chandon. It's like Moe Chandon, but with a J. I thought I was cute when I was 18. This is what happens. You can also, and if you need any assistance, you can also contact us at Home Loan University. We will be more than happy to assist you and your broker business in its future growth as well. As always, guys, thank you so much for listening to this episode. Julian, thank you so much for coming on, brother.